our weekly manifestation oracle message. Eyes of beauty. This is so in alignment for the week. So much continuity here. Positive expectations and clarity. When you have negative expectations, you can't discern clearly. You can't discern clearly because your ego is projecting judgment. And so what we've been learning about in the Torah portion of the week, last week and this week, it's sort of like a two-part thing about expecting, like knowing that God is the source of all things. Like even like no matter what is happening in your simulation, God is in charge. Like in a way we have no free will as far as like the scene that's playing out. But our free will is how we show up within the scene. And I like to think of it or describe it like this. If we have I ate almonds, chocolate covered almonds, so they're in my teeth. So forgive me if I'm grotesque. So if you look at Curb Your Enthusiasm, this is a show where it's semi-scripted, right? The actors are given an outline of where the story is going, but they have the option of how they show up within the scene, where they take their dialogue, where they take their perspective and their motivation, right? And where they lay their intent and how their character drives that. That hair on my face. And so that is the same as our daily experience. How we perceive and how we observe is going to determine everything. And so the Torah has told us over the last couple of weeks to see the true source of all that is, to know that source is always giving to us. And when we can understand that we don't see the full picture, but we are experiencing miracles we don't even know, right? Like for instance, the other night I came off of a private party and there were these like really nice little brownies and cookies left that we do. We do a lot of family style dining for the private parties. And if they're sitting there like sharing them at the table, like, and there's some left over, like why would it be weird for us? Not like it's not their own individual kind of thing. It's just like going to a buffet or a catered event, right? So I brought a plate of the leftover brownies and cookies to my cohorts. They were getting the restaurant closed, and one of the somebody came by and just mindlessly picked up the plate and like threw them away. And we were all like, oh, you took our cookies. But at the same time, that could have been a miracle. It probably was, because there was probably like a germ or something on them, right? And then we all gotten sick, and then, it would have been a thing. Look, she's even wearing a facial covering. Look. Facial mask, so funny. So it's like we always have to look at the situation that's unfolding as God's grace, even if we can't perceive it, right? God works in mysterious ways. And so when we expect to be blessed, the universe has to project back what we desire, what we perceive, what we believe, right? And so that's part of how we learn how to navigate this life. It's like getting into one of those arcade game cars, and it's so hard to drive one of those. Even if you know how to drive in real life, it's so hard to learn how to steer those things without overcorrecting, right? And it doesn't like they don't change the sensitivity or like make the games any better. They're just like, you adapt, figure it out. It's part of it, right? Life. The Diamond Dreamer. I love it. Manifestation. So material wealth and true prosperity. So as we surrender our flimsy illusion over control, we actually become safer. My safety is in my defenselessness. I can't do anything to control the world or what happens to me, but I can control how I show up. I can control my consciousness. I can control how I show up to make up for how I just showed up in a reactive way. Like we can participate in the process, but we should show up feeling like I want to take responsibility as though it won't happen without me. But at the end of the day, we have to have the humility to know that it only ever happened through me, and there would be another conduit that would be there if I wasn't there to do it. And we know that if you're a creative person and you've had your brain waves leak out and somebody make your idea and make it a success, and you're like, how did they know that? That was my idea. I thought of that. And it's happened to me a lot, and it's so frustrating, but that's how it is. So Diamond Dreamer, material wealth, true prosperity. So when we start to live in that realm of surrender, it puts us at ease, knowing we're just going to show up and do our best. And it's a process. And just like the navigation on the car, if you take a wrong turn, it's just like recalculating. That's kind of how the universe is. Hawk Prince, spirit communication, paying attention. Exactly. It's that spiritual GPS that's always watching the road and calculating our mileage for us, letting us know, hey, in 1/10 of a mile, you need to take this exit. Are we paying attention, or do we have highway hypnosis? Right? And last card. Ooh, the Spirit Whisperer. Oh my God, the guidance. The guidance coming from within at all times. Divine guidance and higher knowing. Last night in our video, we were talking about the story of Balak and Balaam, and how they were asking like, hey, should I team up with this plan to sort of like overthrow the Israelites and Moses? And God was like, well, no, of course not. And so they had the divine guidance to steer away from this group of conspirators, and they got involved anyway. And they kept praying, not at first, so they kept praying about it until they felt like they got the answer they wanted. Oh, yep, go ahead. That's probably go on and do that. And so they felt like the universe was giving them signs to support what they wanted, because they had impure intentions. They wanted to see a certain answer. They weren't willing to be neutral and be given the direction. They wanted the direction to reflect back what they already wanted, what the ego wanted, right? And so we have to be willing. The Spirit is always whispering, and we can hear it clearly, and it's very gentle, and like, it's not pushy, but it really is up to us to take that advice, because there's no coercion in free will. There's no coercion in spirituality. So we have to look at the lay of the land and understand the way that the game is laid out, and understand, okay, where do we have free will and where do we not? And how do we reconcile that so we can truly liberate ourselves to be living in our purpose, instead of trying to control things that we can't and wasting our energy and then missing the point of what we are supposed to be working on, right? So the guidance is there. What are you feeling like in your heart of hearts you're being maybe guided to do or guided to not do, but it's maybe not even, maybe you're reluctant, or you're trying to justify your way out of it, or it's kind of making you uncomfortable, or it's stretching you beyond what you think you're ready for. What is this thing, right? It might be spirit whispering to you, and it might be your higher knowing. And it's like, if you keep ignoring the signs, the angelic signs, then the negative side the negative angels will come and give you signs, and they'll lead you, and distract you and lead you off path. And you won't even know it, because everything will be going so well. You'll be like, wow, I'm finally blessed. I'm finally succeeding. Because the shiny object is going to keep you hypnotized, as long as you're not doing what your divine path would ask for you to do. Because then you'd be coming into your fullness and wholeness and completion and your divine destiny and your full potential in a way that only you can. Right? It's not that this thing is not a good path and that thing is a better path. It's just that we each have our own unique path that only we can fulfill. And if we're distracted from that, like, the devil can be just as pleased to make you miserable as he can to keep you distracted in happiness, and sedate you as well, as long as he's doing his job to keep you from your destiny. So it now comes down to how we look at things, and how woke can we stay, or how fast do we fall asleep again and get lost in the matrix and get all wound up in our reactive base instincts, instead of being sovereign wielders, co-creators of energy and creation and our reality, like we're supposed to be. And the way to do that successfully is knowing that it's not us, it's the creator. We just have to refine our vessel to be able to channel this. And part of it is just knowing that, like, we can put all of our strength into something and try everything, and it's not going to succeed until the creator is like, okay, now you can succeed. And it's not because the creator is an egomaniac. It's just because we have to go through the full process to come to our full fulfillment, right? And if you're familiar with like wine and things like that, and you can appreciate that, that a bouquet can't come to its fullness without that period of maturation. and the conditions have to be right. And you know, sometimes that produces a beautiful bouquet, and sometimes the batch is, you know, sour, right? So which, you know, being patient and not judging the product or the fruit until the process is over. So the process is complete. It's never really over, but each phase of perfection yields a new form, right? All right, well, that's all for today. I'm headed to work, y'all. Wish me well. I wish you well as well. and all will be well, and Godspeed. Ciao.